Okay, now we're ready to do some drawing. Let's take a look at our Word document over here. We want to draw the splash screen texture when we're in the splash screen state. So, we're talking about drawing now. If game state splash, then what I want to do is just draw using a simple method, method 1. And my texture is splash screen texture, splash screen rectangle, color.white. Okay, and we can cross that off our list. And we use the long method of the long draw method to draw Darth Vader when we're in the playing state. So let's go back over here and put another if statement in. And I want the version 6, which has 9 arguments, and I named them all the same, I think, as they are in this little help box that comes up here. So I want to do Darth dot texture, Darth dot position, Darth dot source rectangle, Darth dot color, Darth dot rotation, Darth dot origin, Darth dot scale, Darth dot effect. I guess I left the S off of that one, and Darth dot layer depth. Okay, and that was 5 big points right there, so we can cross that off. And when in the playing state, use the font to draw your name in the upper left corner of the screen, and use the name vector. And then the next step is going to be put a shadow behind him. So the name vector is already initialized to 5,5. Then that's nice because it leaves 5 pixels above and to the left. Let's just go back up here and double check on that. And what I'm looking for is name vector right there. So that gives me 5 pixels that I can use to draw the shadow. So that's nice. And what I want to do here is I want to do that when I'm in the playing state. So let's draw the shadow first. Let's make up a new vector 2, and we'll call it shadow vector. New vector 2, and it's going to take on the values of 0, 0. Okay, so we'll start way up in the top left corner. And then for what I want to do each pass through the loop is I want to draw the name as a shadow. So we need to do a draw string, sprite_patch.draw string. And I need to use the font, which is just called font, the name. And the vector is going to be the shadow vector. And the last thing is going to be, let me see, I need to do a different version of draw here. I think it's this one. The font, the text, the vector, and the color. Let's try this, see if they'll accept that as a string builder instead of a string. And I don't know what color it said to use. I'll use gray. I can always change it if I need to. Now, what I need to do is, before I go through here again, I've got to add 1 onto the X and the Y of shadow vector. Okay. And So that'll give me 5 versions of the shadow. Each one increases the x and the y by 1, so I'm kind of moving down at a 45-degree angle. And then the last thing was to draw my name using the name vector. So sprite batch dot draw string. Let me see, font. And I can use version 1. I'm not sure what I was thinking of on that last one. Name vector, color dot white. Okay, so that should give me something that looks like this. And I'm not going to actually run the program because the last time I tried running the program, in the middle of my video, it crashed my video recording program. So I will probably do that in a final video after I've got all the code written. Okay, now if we're in this playing state, we're supposed to draw the 10 instances of Luke. Okay, now I may have missed an instruction here. I need to read all 10 values of, I'm not see where it says that here. I need to I need to read in all 10 versions for each of the 10 instances or items in the array. I need to read in the picture of Luke. So that's going to be part of, oh, I did do that. Okay, so I'm good. Now, if I'm in the playing state, and if Luke visible is true, then what I want to do is I want to draw all 10 instances of Luke. So for sprite batch dot draw, and we're going to use I think we need to use the long version again here, even though we're not rotating him or anything. So it's going to be Luke sub I dot, and I'm going to copy that because I'm going to use that 8 more times. So Luke sub I dot texture. Okay, second one is Luke sub I dot, I gotta do the dot myself, I can't paste that in, and I want position. Okay, let me copy this without the period on the end. And then I want the source rectangle. Whoops, I think I said maybe I could use null for that. Yes, I did. And then I want color of white. Actually, I'm not going to be using Luke sub I, am I? We're using constants for everything else. Rotation is 0. Origin is, we say for the origin, 0. Okay. And sprite effects dot none, comma, layer depth is 0. Okay, now do I have 9 arguments there? I'm not sure that I do. And the red line tells me I probably do not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so what did I forget? So I've got, oh, I'm just going to have to write it down on the next line if I want all the help to come up for me. I don't know why that goes away. I missed the scale. Okay, so let's get rid of the bad one and replace it with the good one. Now that will draw him wherever he happens to be, wherever those position values happen to be, but these all kind of depend on one another here, so I've got to do this part as well. I'm in the playing state and the user presses the right trigger and it was released on the previous tick. Set the variable look visible to true. And when I do that, I also need to generate a random position for each of the X's and Y's. So that's going to be back up here yet in our update. So if gamepad dot triggers dot right is greater than 0, and on the previous tick of the clock dot triggers dot right was equal to 0, then I want to do a couple of things. I want to set Luke visible equal to true, and then I want to go through and create a new X and a Y for each one of my 10 Lukes. So Luke sub I dot position dot X equals, what do I call it, random RND dot next 800. That'll give me a number from 0 to 799. And then Luke sub I dot position dot Y next 480. Okay, so when they pull the trigger, I'll set some new random positions and I'll start drawing him immediately. Now, if the last instruction said if they pull the left trigger, so if that's greater than 0, and on the previous gamepad the triggers dot left was equal to 0, actually, you know, that doesn't matter. That doesn't need to be there. Look visible equals false. Okay. And that should be the end of it. I'm going to save this and then I will try to create one more video where I'm actually using the gamepad. There won't be any audio on that because of my port limitations, but we'll give it a try and see if it works.